I've talked about the starting experience for World of Warcraft for new players, right? Because yes, there's a lot of us older Andys out there who've been playing this game since the early 2000s. I've been playing since 2005, right? There's a lot of people out there like me. But in order for the game to continue forward, in order for it to continue to be healthy, you got to bring new players in. And the new player gaming experience is it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I think Blizzard's tried to fix with some of the stuff they've done with Dragonflight and the starting zones and everything else. But let's see what the current state of it is. Bellular played WoW on a fresh account, and it was hell? Oh, no. Oh, no. Let's see what Bellular's account of playing as a new player in WoW looks like. Here we go.
This is Milk Genius. He's a Tauren mage, and he was born to suffer. Except things did not quite go to plan. You see, his suffering actually started much earlier than we intended. So let me explain this whole thing. Milk Genius is the first character on a fresh account. Matt and our team is going to use him for some upcoming challenge runs of the game. But, well, challenge actually found him first.
Oh,
That's
no.
because just getting to level 80 was an absolute nightmare.
Really?
Let me tell you, we were shocked to find out how bad WoW really is for new players. It is literally unplayable in ways that we did not expect.
Unplayable?
And I am not joking. Whenever people send me things, first impression...
Okay, before we go through the Squarespace ad here. Yeah, look, unplayable, I want to see what he gets into here. But, like, Blizzard's even attack on add-ons and everything is supposed to make the game more approachable. I always felt like add-ons were a barrier to entry, and someone who's never played a game with add-ons or is something that additional to install to play the game is always like, it's a big barrier for them. Like, it's a mind-blowing experience. I've had cousins who started playing this game with me, and they didn't understand what the fuck the concept of an add-on was. And I had to teach them how to do the whole thing to be able to play the game correctly, which is a bad thing for new players. So as much as some people hate the attack on add-ons that Blizzard's currently doing, it does create a better early player experience for sure.
Count.
To not
and
have
that's where
add-ons.
today's sponsor Squarespace can let you make that strong first impression, so you actually get.
You watched this earlier?
You want to get through to.
Sam, you are the
Today,
definition of
they're easier,
unplayable?
faster,
Ridiculous.
and
What a
less
ridiculous
efficient than
comment.
Anyone else, and that's all because of the new way that you build a site. And I'll walk you through it. So first, Blueprint guides you through making your own template. And
You
this
don't need
really is
add-ons to
amazing.
play the
You can
game.
Select what pages you want, what
Yes and
fonts are
no.
best, what color palette to use, and by them, of
You can
course,
level
doing
up, but
the
you want to
hard
do
work of curating all
you
of
want to do
those.
end game content and you're doing it without add-ons, you are you're playing with like a, I don't know, your left hand tied behind your back, or your left nut tied behind your back. I don't know how to, it's just you're playing at a disadvantage. You are. That's the truth.
Basically just means it looks and feels way better and way more pro. Now, it's all designed to work together.
No add-ons equals
rather than
hardcore,
be
right?
A bunch of cobbled together features with inconsistent design. It's actually seamless and professional, so that your customers.
Man,
actually
your
have
girlfriend
a
Raw
great
Dog's
first
Mythic
impression
raid.
of what
That's
you want.
that's
And
impressive.
whenever they convert, well,
That's impressive.
You have seamless buying with Squarespace payments. They really are the complete package, everything that you need. And by following my link, squarespace.com/BallylerGaming, you get to
Use
build
the
your
man's
site
link.
for free. And then when you're ready to send it live, my code, BallylerGaming, gets you 10% off your first purchase of a site or domain.
Okay, Milk Genius
had
is
a normal
suffering.
time at first. Pleasant even. Lots of people told him to do things like incinerate living creatures around the Dragon Isles.
Sounds like
And
WoW.
He did so with a smile. His barrier was impenetrable. He blew up enemies in a few casts at most. Then something changed. As he leveled and mastered new spells, he actually got weaker. Pyroblast felt like tepid air blast. He might
hell?
have done more damage blowing kisses than throwing fireballs. It felt ridiculous. And then
Why?
enemies chunked him with every swing. And before poor Milk Genius knew what was happening, he found himself needing everything in his arsenal to survive. Burst, Time Warp, Ice Block, all just to take on the local wildlife.
Really?
The same wildlife.
Sounds like Burning Crusade leveling. I mean, I remember Burning Crusade leveling was no joke. For one, the continents out there were filled with mobs, like a ton of respawning mobs that spawned very quickly. And you could easily aggro too many things. And you did have to go through a decent bit of rotation, especially once you got to Netherstorm, to like legitimately kill mobs off and survive things. And then dungeon runs were a whole other story. I mean, those were difficult as hell. But yeah, I don't think the leveling experience should be that way. Like just the regular leveling experience. So it sounds like it's
The
overtuned.
very same wildlife that he had just been exploding with a simple glance just a few hours before. Now, of course, as an experienced WoW
Howdy.
player, you're probably familiar with slowing down as you level. But I promise you, you have not seen anything this bad. We have not seen anything this bad because we just hadn't done this in a while. By now, it really is different.
It's a gearing
and this
issue?
all made leveling a living nightmare. WoW felt like less of a well-designed video game. Fighting one mob without combustion was pointless. Pulling two at the same time meant certain death. It took every mage spell in the book to kill named NPCs, and usually in a few tries.
Damn.
This was not fun. It was somewhere between a pointless slog and just being insanely frustrating. And this is in the hands of a good player, someone with many years of experience. What do you think would happen to a new player? A new player who would die trying to 1v1 a regular mob, say a boar. They would probably quit the game.
Yeah.
It's just hard to imagine anyone bothering with this. Even if they survived,
Is this what it is? Are they not gearing players out properly through progression? Like, are you leveling faster than you're gearing, so you end up fighting mobs that are just too difficult? Is that what's going on here? Because I haven't leveled a character from start to finish since, I don't know, man. Maybe early BFA. I didn't even level from start to finish, though. That was a Death Knight that I finished leveling in early BFA. So I haven't done a full new character since Burning Crusade. Yeah, since Burning Crusade. I don't think I leveled my mage, and that was the last time I leveled a character from start to finish. And so it's obviously, it's way faster. So you're out-leveling your gear. That's the problem. Okay, well, I mean, that's an easy fix. I mean, just maybe they got to be made aware of it.
getting weaker over time is kind of the opposite.
In short, you out-level items and gear really fast.
There's essentially, in my view, no way they would stick with it. Not unless...
Minnie, thank you for the sub, man. 43 months.
Yap,
oh my
yap,
god.
Yap, yap.
Oh my god, 43 months. Thank you, man. Minnie, a loyal fan since day one. Or maybe just a loyal servant or slave. I don't know how to describe it. But thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Unless they had a whole bunch of friends boosting them and getting them towards the end game.
Nobody's...
Sad news for Milk Genius.
Snurf.
It actually got worse before it got better. Hours of struggling later, he finally reached Orgrimmar. He'd done the non-combat quests where he could. Now they called him to set the newest continent ablaze. Yes, he was being called to Kaz Algar. Without a well-timed save from a hunter who just happened to be there, he actually would, well, maybe still be dying from that Nerubian lord you've got to fight in Dalaran in the intro. You know, over and over and over again, because it was actually just that bad as a fight.
Damn.
And remember, you need to beat that boss to finish the scenario. And that means that as a new player, there is no way to continue. It was genuinely impossible alone, and that's because Milk Genius was a victim. He was a victim of scaling and how it's essentially broken for the game as it is being played by new players right now. And the sad thing for Milk Genius is there was just about nothing he could do about it. So
that's tough. I wonder if playing a mage just made it harder too, because it's a bit harder to solo things as a squishy character, whereas a Death Knight would have been easier. Maybe a hunter probably would have been easier. Hunters have notoriously always been like one of the easier classes to level up because you got a pet that can essentially tank for you. But that should never be a thing, obviously. You shouldn't have to pick a certain class to level up. I don't mind Blizzard trying to teach players like early boss fight mechanics. Like that's what it seems like that scenario would do is, you know, hey, you got to dodge swirlies in this game. Hey, you got to, watch to get out of the fire in this game. You know, like there's things like that you want a player to earn early on, but you don't want it to be overly punishing. You don't want them to have to attempt the same fight 36 times to get nothing out of it just to advance through the quest line. That's crazy. So yeah, this is clearly overtuned.
This mess. How did this happen?
They should have started with, paladins have been easy to level up.
Our actual problem here was gear. On the Isle of Dorne, the quest reward from the impossible intro quest really did prove that. And that's because the same slot went from plus 40 stamina to plus 1295. It's quite a lot more. It's an extra 25k HP. It's a 16% increase from just one item. That's out of 14 slots. And this was not just health either. This slot went from 20 int to 441, plus 3% crit and 1% haste. And that was all from one single hat. Okay, what actually happened here? Well, Milk Genius had actually out-leveled so fast that he drastically outgrew his gear, and it was nigh on impossible to keep him with a set of gear that actually fit his level. Most of his equipment was so bad that he may as well have been naked, which is a sad state of affairs for poor Milk Genius. And of course, that's on a fresh account.
How did Blizzard not notice this though? This seems like such an obvious thing. Like that the gear that the person's wearing, they're gonna out level it very quickly. Like to go from stats like he was showing, like 12 intellect to 400 and something intellect. That's massive. That's an expansion, more than an expansion difference between the two of them. I don't get how that's happening. I mean, how did they not notice this? That players were going to be just out leveling their gear that quickly. Yeah, that's a problem.
Without the warband buff that gives
they
you
assume
up to
most buy
25%
greens from
more
the
XP.
auction house. I would
And
hope
of course,
not.
This was a fresh account. That
Maybe
means
they got so used to people playing with heirloom gear or something. I mean, you have like the whole what's it called? The remix events where people come out of those with like really good gear. Like by really good, I mean like good enough to get into the game and play the real content. Yeah, I don't know. That just seems like a big oversight.
there's no heirlooms. Basically, this is the stock experience where there are really no pointers or explainers.
Yeah.
And that means that leveling is just too fast for how Blizzard's game actually awards people gear. Why? Well, campaign quests are designed with a specific curve in mind. You get a few pieces in every zone as you would level up. Then
Right.
you would hit max with a full quest set of gear. Some pieces would be a few item levels lower. That's for a fairly obvious reason. You would maybe get one piece of gear at level 64 instead of at level 69, but that's not really a big deal. Job done, you've hit max level. And that's what happens because Dragonflight, and of course later on War Within, have got their continents designed for a 10 leveling span. Not a 60 or 70 leveling span. That's why this breaks.
Yeah.
Players drop into Dragonflight
makes
at level
sense.
10. They then finish the campaign somewhere in the 40s. And
Right.
that's when they essentially run out of easy gear, which leads to this situation. This poor soul was still wearing gear from his 30s and 40s. He wasn't level 50, he wasn't level 55, no, he
Yeah.
was in his 60s. And this is not like WoW Classic. You see, in Classic, wearing a 15 green was fine for like 20 levels. Gear
True.
scaling is absolutely nuts now, and that's the key difference between now and Classic. Every slot was hundreds of item levels below where it should have been.
Yeah.
Thousands of stats behind. And you may say...
Yeah, I
just
mean,
look
I
at-
remember like I didn't play Classic, but I played like vanilla WoW back in the day, and he's right. Like, yes, you would go through Undermine or not Undermine, Dead Mines. And yeah, like I would get the Cruel Barb swords from there, and I would rock those for a long time. For like 10, 15 levels, I'd be rocking my Cruel Barbs. Because the gear scaling wasn't that high. It wasn't an exponential growth rate like it is now because of all these expansions. Gear scaling just goes off the fucking charts. Whereas before it was a very gradual growth rate. So, I mean, yeah. So the problem is it looks like you're going from Dragonflight straight into whatever the current expansion is, and the gear changeover from there, because scaling just goes so off the charts at that point, and you didn't raid or anything, you just played through the Dragonflight quest lines, you're now jumping like a crazy item level all of a sudden.
Get some gear, bro, that's the problem. Easy.
Your experience was like Bellular's as well.
Genius
That's
wishes
tough,
it
man.
was easy.
They gotta fix this.
Some side quests drop gear. The odd world quests do as well. But even if you understand that system,
This is
which
bad
again,
for the
a
game.
new player, you probably won't, there's no reliable way to replace garbage. As an example, when I say garbage, say, imagine that plus 10 strength belt that you picked up at level 25. Now, if you're thinking, just buy bind on equipped gear then, well, we thought about that as well. BOEs below level 80 are unbelievably expensive. Many of you probably know why. It's because the only people buying them are giga-rich transmog hunters who want to fill out their set.
True.
And that's an economic context that per Milk Genius
Yeah.
and, of course, every new player...
Buying gear off the auction house is not meant for new first-time WoW players. This is for experienced players who've been this is like their 36th alt or something. And new WoW players, and by the way, like what kind of fantasy is that? Bob A, thanks you for the sub on YouTube, man. What kind of player fantasy is that too? Like you're playing through this fantasy world, and now you got to go to an auction house and buy all of your gear because the things you're killing aren't giving you any. That's not. I don't think that's very exciting or intuitive for that matter. Like how are they even supposed to know they got to do that? So yeah, this is not a solution.
to the game won't exactly be in. You see, with today's leveling speeds, you'll only have a few thousand gold by the time you hit this problem. And if you're in the know, you won't really want to spend that. As an example, just think about how expensive enchants and crafting are up at max level. That means that spending any money in gear
new
before
players
level-
will just craft. I mean, crafting's good, Tidewell, but they won't have gold. If you're a new player who's never played the game, you are not going to have gold at all. you're going to be poor. You're going to be a poor bitch, and you're going to have to deal with it. And you're not going to know how to spend your money. You're probably going to spend your money on stupid things, the money that you do have, and it's not going to be a lot. Remember, you're going to have to learn how to mount. You're going to have to learn all your abilities, all this shit. There's going to be a lot of things. I don't think training is a thing anymore. Again, I haven't leveled up in a long, long time. I think your abilities are just given to you now at this point. But you're going to have to use your money for other things. Going up and going through the entire crafting system is a whole nother thing you're not going to be able to do.
Level 80 is a huge mistake. But hang on a second.
We're cooked, yeah.
You may be wondering why you don't have that problem. Why you are not like the poor victim of today's video, Milk Genius, and the legions, probably hundreds of thousands of potential new players that are bouncing off World of Warcraft every month. You and Milk Genius ain't the same. You'll have heirlooms. Those heirlooms will scale with level. And even if you don't, you can queue for every single dungeon with Chromie time. Or perhaps you'll only be leveling your characters during time walking weeks, where you can just spam dungeons with shorter queues and get loads of gear. That's not what a new player will be doing. What we're talking about today is a new player problem. Now, you can technically avoid it if you run dungeons. Scaling is a little different there, but hey, you will get some gear. But the DPS queue times for Dragonflight dungeons are prohibitively long, and you're trapped in the Dragon Isles until level 70 anyway.
That's right.
If you ask me, asking a new player...
I didn't even think about that, but how are you going to queue up for shit? There's just not a lot of people leveling. So how do you even find groups to do dungeons? I didn't think about that. Can they do NPC dungeons? When you're leveling now, can you do those? Because that would be a good thing for them to have if they can. But I don't know if the follower dungeons is what they're called. Can you do those when you're leveling up? That would be nice. I don't know. Somebody who's leveled up a character tell me.
Is not much of a solution to this problem.
Crafting is good, Samiccus.
This is a problem. Let me put it this way. Blizzard putting WoW on sale like this is basically them trying to fill a bathtub. But what they, well, probably realize but have not yet acted on is that bathtub, well, you know, doesn't really have a plug in it. So all of those new players they chuck into World of Warcraft simply just drain away. Okay, look, I've got to pull the handbrake and do a crazy power turn, but trust me, I'm actually going somewhere with this. It's relevant.
Imagine playing WoW and having all the answers at your fingertips on your PC. It's with Google retards. Well, I mean, look, Dagaja, that's fine. If you want to use Wowhead to maximize your character, to learn your rotation, like those things are fine. But I don't think you should have to go on the internet to figure out how to fix a problem that Blizzard clearly created where your gear is not scaling properly, because it should. Technically, just like when we enter a new expansion, the gear you get from the quests, from running the dungeons and everything else should be enough. You shouldn't have to go try to find alternative ways to catch up in gear because the scaling is broken. That just seems wrong to me. Yes, going online and figuring out how to maximize your character and learning how to play the game, sure. But learning how to defeat an issue that shouldn't be there in the first place, that just seems wrong.
The Final Fantasy XIV director wrote blogs early in the game's life.
Yeah, you should just be able to level up with a minimal contact with the internet.
There was a quest in A Realm Reborn. A few of you may know it. It asked you to get a full set of item level 5+ gear. And right beside that quest giver was an NPC vendor. That vendor sold the last item that you needed, a piece of leg armor. And the game explains all of this stuff to you. But here's what happened. Even with all of that, their stopping point data showed something different. The data showed this was the quest most quitting players stopped at.
Damn.
Just kind of crazy, right? Such a simple barrier, yet it kind of destroyed their player signups. Now they ended up changing this. They changed it to be more clear. When they changed, it actually worked. More people stayed. You see, players don't like being confused. They don't like feeling confused. And in this case, it's new players who have not put hours into an MMO. They're gonna feel confused real easy. MMOs are overwhelming. They won't put up with the sorts of bullshit that you and I will put up with basically all the time. Hey, we're WoW players, we're used to it. But they won't put up with that.
We eat shit.
Now, I do not have access to Blizzard's stopping point data, but I can promise you this. They have tons of people who finish the Dragonflight campaign, they hit the wall that Milk Genius hit, and then they get confused. The
Damn, that's sad.
Giving them gear. They find that they cannot kill mobs. They also can't find side quests. They get confused. They don't like feeling confused. They try to Google things about the game, but Google's a mess. WoW data is just spread across lots of different websites. ones that are useful but often high cognitive load to use. So what happens is they simply quit. I think in doing these sales, Blizzard is pouring time and effort into finding water for the bucket, but they haven't perhaps realized or acted on the fact there's a giant hole in the bottom of that bucket. But I do have some good news.
Yeah. We'll see what the good news is. You get riding and flying and other skills automatically. You learn them. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's definitely better for gold purposes. The only thing I struggled with was learning how to find a raid as a solo player. Thankfully, I found Sam. I'm a man of the people. I'm here to serve, Cadence. Yeah, that's right. We do community raids all the time. Yeah, raiding and everything else, that's fine. That's endgame content. And players can learn, just by asking around how to do that. But like item level scaling should not be something you got to ask people about. Like, hey, why am I dying all the time? Oh, yeah, Blizzard actually did a really bad job with level scaling. You got to go over to this NPC, buy this. You got to do this over here to get a fresh helm. That just seems off. Like, shouldn't be the case.
Not all hopelessness, because our boy Milk Genius found a way out.
Oh, what was the solution? Let's see.
You see, once Milk Genius put on that new bit of gear, the hat that I described that gave him thousands more stats, everything changed. His new hat made him so strong that he could kill 3 quest mobs at the same time when he popped all of his cooldowns. Not very impressive,
with all of
but
his
it was a massive difference. It was moving from playing the game feeling impossible to feeling technically possible. Now, questing was still extremely slow. Gear came in drips and drops, and some slots just felt impossible to replace. So eventually, Matt, who, by the way, was the man behind Milk Genius, he ended up just giving up. He was tired of pretending to be a new player. He wanted a way out. Now, someone suggested he log out for 2 whole months, and that in doing so, the gear update function of the game would appear and give him a starting set.
What?
That was, of course, not very appealing, so instead, he learned tailoring and he just went and made all of his own gear. And this worked by pure luck. Cloth drops came from mobs anyway.
He had to learn how to craft to overcome this problem. That's so scuffed. Oh my god. Oh no. I guess it's the crafting in World of Warcraft. You got to make the new players do it. Damn, that's horrible. That is horrible. If I got pushed into crafting as a new player, I'll be honest, I would have probably quit WoW early on. Because I never cared for crafting. The only thing I enjoyed in early WoW when it came to professions was gathering. I remember I used to be a herbalist, and I enjoyed running around, grabbing all the herbs, and a miner and stuff, and I would mine nodes. And that stuff was more difficult back in early vanilla WoW. But crafting, doing all the profession shit, I never did it. And if I was forced to do it, I wouldn't have liked it. I know that for a fact.
But say a plate wearer needing to go and
mine ore, World of Warcraft,
well, that is a whole different story. Anyway, over the next level
take
or
some
two,
notes.
he was able to craft enough gear to catch up, to make Milk Genius strong. Turned out that Matt's game knowledge just got him back on track because he knew how to use
How would a
the
new
crafting
player know how to
system.
do this?
That meant that now he could level up to 80 without having to pull individual mobs one at a time. And with that problem solved, he could start in the real task, suffering, playing at max level, which was the entire point of Milk Genius's existence. Now, part of all of this was actually fun, to be clear. Squeezing out every little bit of damage to kill mobs is kind of satisfying, and I'm not making this video to say that leveling should just be one-shotting mobs for 80 levels while you live in some sort of fugue state, putting Doritos into your mouth. No, players do need to learn how to play, and there's times where old Milk Genius was forced to learn how to play. But what Milk Genius went through is not what Blizzard intends. I mean, a few pieces of gear, doubling your health, doubling your damage, that is not healthy for the game. It's clearly not intended. I mean, we're in a situation where anyone who does not know exactly where gear comes from will actually struggle. And remember, we're talking about new players, who by definition do not know things. Now, if they don't know how to use their full kit, say maxing out their cooldowns or choosing a specific talent build, well, then this game, World of Warcraft, is genuinely unplayable. And if World of Warcraft is genuinely unplayable for new players, it's maybe a little bit tricky for Blizzard to actually grow World of Warcraft.
Right.
Blizzard had a solution for this, but the funny thing is, they actually just took it right out of the game.
Yeah.
You see, the Winds of Mysterious Fortune event dropped bags with bonus gear, and that bonus gear scaled to your level. Basically, it operated just like bags from doing random dungeons, but
it's like dropping heirloom gear.
And what the removal of this does is kind of screw over new players who basically bought the game in the recent sale. Because if they bought the game and maybe didn't hit level 80 in time, they could get completely slammed by the gear drought and them just not understanding where gear comes from, especially because when they signed up to the game, it came from the Winds of Mysterious Fortune event. Now, Blizzard could overhaul the scaling here. You know, simply lock systems designers in a room with spreadsheets and force them to fix it, to make the gear curve less sharp. But we all know that's probably a waste of time, that doing so would probably jeopardize the already delicate balance of the game, because every time Blizzard changes scaling, there are hosts of unintended consequences.
Yeah, the whole servers
so
are
let's
going to
think
go
about
down.
the simple way. And the simple way,
Give
make
more
sure
gear.
players get more gear.
Yeah, just get
Fairly
more
easy.
gear. Exactly.
Basically, it's to bake those bonus gear bags in permanently.
I mean, a literal easy fix would be just, make the gear that you get from quests better. Just make, or drop more gear. Just give everybody more gear while they're leveling up, and bam, the issue's fixed. You don't got to scale anything or do anything.
Something that they actually did in the past. You see, in Mists of Pandaria, vendors sold full sets of leveling greens. You could actually just buy them to make sure you were ready. So if you add that, and then add a quest pointing players to that, then
Done.
problem solved.
Yeah.
And if you want to be really lazy, well, just drop a full set of leveling gear on characters every 10 levels. Make it a quest reward. I think that would feel bad, but you know what? If Blizzard are having players abandon the game in droves, even though it's solving a nuanced problem with a humongous sledgehammer, at least the problem would be solved, and we would not have the player attrition.
Getting good gear from quests is fun. Like, a lot of players today would not understand this because most of the time you enter a new expansion, you've outgeared all of the quest gear pretty quickly already before you ever do them, and you're just really throwing away quest gear other than for transmog purposes. But back in, like, vanilla WoW and stuff, like, yes, doing a quest, like, you accept that quest in Westfall, and you're like, oh, shit, this guy's about to give me this new leather helm, and it's actually, like, a little bit better than the one I'm wearing right now. It's got more armor on it. Oh, man, I'm excited to get this. You go do the quest, you come back, you turn it in, you get your new helm, you equip it. Like, that was a fun part of the game. To quest and gear out through questing is exciting. It is for all new players. So they just make the gear from the quests better. Not only will it solve this issue, but it'll make questing more fun. It's always fun to get gear. And when you're early in the game, that's like your only source of gear really is questing.
Fairly sure we have with new accounts. Now, at any rate, we know that a longer term, that a bigger system.
Remember when you had to change zones when you out-leveled the zone? Yeah.
Holly Longdale has talked about true change to the new player experience. That cannot come soon enough. But if it is going to be a while, I think Blizzard should do something about gear acquisition. Because...
yeah, quick fix that shit.
We were honestly shocked by how horrible this was to play. I wonder if you're someone who hangs out in mentor chat, what your experience is like, seeing just the problems that new players have. At any rate, I would love to see the stop data, to see basically what Yoshi P shared in that blog all those years ago about FF14, but of course, for World of Warcraft. Let me know, what's your experience been? Have you tried to get friends into WoW only to find that they've had a very unintuitive experience?
Mikey!
Do share with us.
Thank you for the sub, man. 18 months.
What's this video next?
No, fuck you. Yeah, sorry, your message didn't get read there. Fuck you, Sam. Yeah, thanks, Mikey. I appreciate the sub, man. Tier 1 in 18 months now. Death Knight of our skirts. Great video. Great video. I'm glad Bellular made this because just like me, Blizzard watches, his videos, right? They watch my videos, they watch his videos. So we're doing a service to the community here by bringing this to their attention because this does need to get fixed, and it needs to get fixed ASAP. Because if someone joins the game today out of excitement for whatever reason, hey, maybe somebody who hasn't played in freaking a decade comes back because Ethereal's become playable or something in 11.2. And they decide to level up a new ethereal character. It'd be a really freaking bad introduction if you get shit on because the gear scaling isn't done properly. So they need to fix that for sure, and this needs to be fixed as soon as possible. Nice video here from Bellular.